Today, we're breaking down the 8 worst bread brands in Canada, slice by slice, with everything from chemical preservatives, hidden sodium, price-fixing scandals, and nationwide product recalls. It's all on the table. If you want to know which breads are worth your money and which ones belong nowhere near your plate, watch right through to the end for the 2 cleanest picks. Number 1. Wonder white bread remains one of the most common loaves in Canadian kitchens. Two slices weighing about 63 grams deliver 170 calories, 33 grams of carbohydrates, only 1 to 2 grams of fiber, 3 grams of sugar, and roughly 280 milligrams of sodium. That single serving already covers about 12% of the recommended daily sodium intake set by Health Canada. Many Canadians regularly exceed the suggested 2,300 milligrams per day, often reaching 2,700 to 3,400 milligrams, with bread acting as a steady contributor rather than an occasional source. The ingredient list explains why. Wonder relies on enriched white flour, sugar, vegetable oil, calcium propionate, sorbic acid, sodium stearoyl, 2-lactylate, monoglycerides, enzymes, and conditioners. Refining removes fiber and micronutrients, then additives restore texture and shelf life. This places the product firmly in the ultra-processed category. Calcium propionate plays a central role. Human and animal studies show that amounts comparable to those consumed through preserved bread can increase stress hormones and worsen insulin sensitivity. Regular intake shifts blood sugar regulation even without desserts or sweet snacks. In November 2024, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency issued a recall affecting Wonder and related brands after discovering that salt supplied to Wonder brands could contain metal fragments. A basic food item turned into a safety concern overnight. Low fiber, elevated sodium, metabolic disruption, and recall exposure now define a product long associated with comfort. That same production system appears again under a healthier image in the next brand. The promise of grains and balance enters next, while the manufacturing reality stays unchanged. Number 2. Country Harvest. Country Harvest presents itself as a practical step away from white bread, highlighting seeds and grains. Its 14 grains loaf provides about 210 calories, 36 grams of carbohydrates, roughly 5 grams of fiber, 5 grams of sugar, and around 300 milligrams of sodium per 2 slices, weighing 75 to 80 grams. Fiber increases compared with white bread, yet sodium remains high for a product framed as everyday nutrition. The year 2024 reshaped that image. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency issued a national recall covering Country Harvest 14 grains, ancient grains, oats and honey, sourdough multigrain, and several no-sugar added varieties. The reason traced back to salt contaminated with metal fragments. Great Value and no-name breads appeared on the same recall list, showing how shared supply chains amplify risk across brands. Preservatives continue to define the formula. Calcium propionate remains present, matching the same additive profile found in Wonder. Research connects repeated exposure to this preservative with hormonal changes tied to insulin resistance and long-term metabolic strain. Country Harvest belongs to the Wonder Brands group, alongside Wonder and Gadoua. The visual shift towards seeds and grains does not change the industrial baking model, the additive strategy, or the sodium load. Marketing suggests a safer middle ground, yet the nutritional and safety profile stays closely aligned with standard ultra-processed loaves. The next brand shows that even long-standing trust cannot shield consumers from deeper industry issues. Brand heritage comes forward next, carrying financial consequences that reach beyond the bread aisle. Number 3. Dempster's Dempster traces its origins to the 1890s and holds a strong place in Canadian grocery stores. 2 slices of its white bread, weighing about 71 grams, provide close to 170 calories, 33 to 34 grams of carbohydrates, only 1 gram of fiber, around 3 grams of sugar, and approximately 240 milligrams of sodium. One sandwich already approaches a fifth of the recommended daily sodium limit. The ingredient list mirrors other industrial loaves. Enriched wheat flour, sugar, canola or soybean oil, added wheat gluten, vinegar, calcium propionate, sorbic acid, and dough conditioners maintain softness and shelf life. These features place the bread in the ultra-processed category. Dempster's falls under Bimbo Canada, formerly Canada Bread. In 2023, Canada Bread pleaded guilty to participating in a bread price-fixing scheme that lasted about 16 years. The company paid a $50 million fine, the largest of its kind in Canadian history. Investigations showed that coordinated pricing raised the cost of packaged bread by an average of at least $1.50 per loaf. Consumers paid higher prices while receiving products containing the same preservatives and sodium levels as lower-cost alternatives. The trusted brand identity did not translate into nutritional or ethical protection. The formula, the additives, and the financial history converge in a single loaf. Familiarity did not remove risk, and the next regional favorite confirms that softness often carries a heavy sodium burden. Regional loyalty steps in next, bringing even higher sodium numbers into focus. Number 4. Ben's Wholesome Extra. Soft white bread holds strong popularity across Atlantic Canada. Two slices weighing roughly 70 grams deliver about 170 calories, 33 grams of carbohydrates, close to 2 grams of fiber, 3 grams of sugar, and approximately 370 milligrams of sodium. That amount represents nearly 16% of the recommended daily sodium intake in a single serving. The ingredient profile follows the same industrial model: enriched wheat flour, sugar, vegetable oil, added gluten, salt, soybean flour, calcium propionate, sorbic acid, and soybean lecithin shape the texture and shelf stability. These components match those used across many national brands. A typical day with toast at breakfast and a sandwich later can supply 700 to 750 milligrams of sodium from bread alone. Health guidance consistently links sustained high sodium intake from staple foods with elevated blood pressure and cardiovascular risk. Ben's now operates under Bimbo Canada, sharing production systems and ingredient strategies with other major loaves. The familiar taste and softness come from refined flour and additives rather than traditional baking methods. Regional branding and comfort associations do not alter the nutritional reality. Each slice adds to daily sodium load while contributing minimal fiber. The idea of upgrading to a European-style loaf appears next, though the formulation changes far less than the packaging suggests. A Mediterranean image follows, built on the same Canadian factory formula. Number 5. Villaggio presents itself as Italian-style bread, yet its nutritional profile closely matches standard white loaves. Villaggio Classico, thick slice white bread, delivers about 170 to 180 calories, 33 to 34 grams of carbohydrates, only 1 to 2 grams of fiber, and around 3 grams of sugar per 2 slices, weighing 71 grams. Villaggio belongs to Bimbo Canada and uses the same core ingredients found across its portfolio: refined wheat flour, sugar, vegetable oils, salt, calcium propionate, sorbic acid, and dough conditioners form the base. Fiber remains low, and shelf stability relies on additives rather than fermentation. Large population studies, including the French Nutrinet Santé cohort following nearly 95,000 adults, associate higher intake of emulsifiers with increased cardiovascular and coronary heart disease risk. Villaggio includes the same emulsifier families used in other ultra-processed breads. The Italian identity comes from shape and branding rather than composition. Digestion, blood sugar response, and sodium intake follow the same pattern as conventional white bread. Paying more for a perceived upgrade changes presentation, not physiology. The next brand shows how tradition and regional pride continue to coexist with industrial formulas. A century of Quebec baking arrives next, carrying similar numbers beneath the label. Before we continue, remember to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single insight on Canadian products. Number 6. Gadoua began in Quebec in 1911 and remains deeply rooted in the province's food culture. Today, its most popular products rely on refined flour and preservatives. Gadoua moelleux. Thin sliced white bread provides about 180 calories, 3 grams of sugar, 1 gram of fiber, and roughly 340 milligrams of sodium per 2 slices, weighing 68 grams. Thicker varieties approach 390 milligrams of sodium per serving. One sandwich delivers close to one-sixth of the recommended daily sodium limit before adding fillings. Regular consumption pushes total intake higher across the day. Ingredients include enriched wheat flour, water, sugar, yeast, added gluten, vegetable oils, salt, calcium propionate, sodium stearoyl, 2-lactylate, sorbic acid, and monoglycerides. This combination mirrors Wonder and Dempster's formulas. Studies linked to Harvard researchers show calcium propionate can raise norepinephrine and glucagon levels and promote insulin resistance when consumed in amounts consistent with preserved bread intake. Gadoua now operates under Wonder brands alongside Wonder and Country Harvest. The branding highlights heritage and softness, while the formulation reflects modern industrial baking priorities. Local identity does not reduce sodium or additive exposure. Cost becomes the next variable shoppers consider, though the processing remains unchanged. Budget labels step forward next, while the ingredient lists stay familiar. Number 7. Great value. Great value bread positions itself as an affordable alternative. Typical Canadian white bread under this label provides around 170 calories, 34 grams of carbohydrates, about 2 grams of fiber, roughly 2 grams of sugar, and close to 260 to 270 milligrams of sodium per 2 slices. The ingredient list matches national brands. Enriched wheat flour, sugar or glucose fructose, vegetable oil, salt, calcium propionate, sorbic acid, sodium stearoyl, 2-lactylate, and mono and diglycerides ensure softness and long shelf life. Ultra-processing defines the product. In 2024, Great Value breads appeared in CFIA recall notices due to possible metal fragments from contaminated salt. Country Harvest and No Name Breads shared the same issue, showing that lower price points do not limit exposure to production failures. Nutritionally, the sodium contribution rivals premium brands, while fiber remains minimal. Switching to store brands lowers cost but preserves the same metabolic and safety concerns. Many consumers turn to Great Value after years of rising bread prices linked to industry-wide price fixing. The ingredient profile, however, remains unchanged. The next store brand strips away even more branding while carrying even deeper corporate history. Simplicity in packaging arrives next, backed by complex financial consequences. Number 8. No Name bread uses plain packaging to signal simplicity. 2 slices of its white bread supply about 170 calories, roughly 32 grams of carbohydrates, low fiber, and around 270 milligrams of sodium. The bread comes from Loblaw and its parent company, George Weston Limited. Ingredients align with other industrial loaves: refined wheat flour, sugar, vegetable oil, salt, calcium propionate, sorbic acid, and emulsifiers. Corporate history adds weight. In 2017, Loblaw and George Weston admitted participation in a bread price fixing scheme that ran from 2001 to 2015. Canadians received a $25 gift card as restitution. Investigations described coordinated pricing practices that raised bread prices nationwide. By 2024, Loblaw and George Weston agreed to a $500 million settlement connected to bread price fixing class action lawsuits. Consumers paid higher prices for years while purchasing products with minimal nutritional distinction. No Name bread also appeared in the 2024 CFIA recall tied to metal contamination from salt. Low branding did not reduce exposure to risk or additives. A different approach to bread production appears next, built around sprouted grains and shorter ingredient lists. Now let's leave all those budget and big brands behind and enter straight into the cleanest, most honest bread options in Canada. Number 1. Silver Hills. Silver Hills Bakery in British Columbia focuses on sprouted grain bread. A common variety such as Little Big Bread provides about 100 to 110 calories per 2 slices, roughly 7 grams of protein, close to 6 grams of fiber, and around 1 gram of sugar. Ingredients usually include sprouted whole grains, water, yeast, sea salt, and small amounts of sweetener. Calcium propionate, sorbic acid, and synthetic emulsifiers do not appear. Sprouting alters grain composition, Research shows improved mineral availability, increased vitamin content, reduced anti-nutrients, and moderated blood sugar response compared with refined flour bread. Higher fiber and protein per calorie increases satiety and stabilize energy levels. Many dietitians recommend Silver Hills as a daily option because it balances convenience with nutritional density. The cost per loaf runs higher, yet each slice delivers more nutritional value and fewer additives. Bread begins to act as nourishment rather than filler. Another approach focuses on fermentation time rather than sprouting, closing the story with a traditional technique adapted for modern shelves. Number 2. Stone Mill Bakehouse. Stone Mill Bakehouse in Ontario produces sourdough and multigrain breads using longer fermentation. Ingredient lists often include whole grain flour, water, sourdough culture, salt, and seeds. Calcium propionate and emulsifiers remain absent. Two slices typically provide 150 to 180 calories, around 5 to 6 grams of fiber, 6 to 7 grams of protein, and minimal sugar. This combination slows digestion and improves satiety. Natural sourdough fermentation alters starch structure and can lower glycemic response compared with conventional white bread. Longer fermentation also reduces certain fermentable carbohydrates, improving tolerance for some individuals. Stone Mill operates under Bimbo Canada, yet these loaves show that large companies can produce bread without heavy preservatives when demand supports it. Compared with standard white bread, Stone Mill products deliver more fiber, fewer additives, and steadier energy release. Short ingredient lists and fermentation restore bread closer to its traditional role. If any brand on this list surprised you, let us know your story in the comments below. And if you're ready for more videos like this, hit that subscribe button. Thanks a lot for watching, and see you in the next one.